What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. I'm Errol Bomar, and we're here at ASOTUCON 2025. We're super excited to not only have you here and joining us, but also to have our next guest. And so what I love for you to do, as you know, I'm going to ask you to do it. Put your hands together, stomp your feet, whatever you need to do to make noise. I want you to make that noise as I welcome up Kate Gardella. Kate, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fantastic. You know, I'm enjoying day one. So first and foremost, as it comes to ASOTUCON, is this your first ASOTUCON?
Yes, this is my first day at my first ever ASOTUCON.
Well, welcome.
Thank
this
you.
is gonna. I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere. This is the first of many, right? All right. So
I sure hope so. Yeah.
we do too, right? That's what we're glad to have you here and joining us. So.
Thank you.
What I love to ask everyone, because every hero has one, right? Every hero has an origin story. And what that just simply means is you're then, how you got into this automotive space, where you are now, and then maybe we'll even talk a little bit about the future. But tell me a little bit more about, because I don't see your Kate, but I know you have one. Tell me about your hero origin story. How'd you get into the automotive space?
Sure. I don't even really consider myself specifically in the automotive space. So we'll get into this in a little while, but
Yes.
I work for an energy management company.
Okay.
And so I always wanted to do something that would give back.
Okay.
And I felt like getting into the clean tech space did just that. And so
Yes.
for the last 7 years, I've been working with GridPoint, and with energy management, we don't just work with the automotive industry. We find ourselves in quick serve restaurants, in pharmacies, in medium and large box retail, really any kind of commercial building space.
Okay.
But for me, we're saving energy
Yes.
and hopefully saving the planet a little bit in that as well.
Captain Planet would be proud.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
that's good. I love that. Now, when you specifically talk about, because I love that you mentioned that you're in more than just the automotive space.
Yes.
When you come to something like this, right, what made you make this event priority, or what is something that maybe you didn't expect or expected when you got here?
So we're trying to grow within the automotive space.
Okay.
I think that when you talk to dealers, a lot of them are focused heavily on what they need to do, which is selling cars.
Yeah.
And things like managing their facilities is super important because that's what enables them to go ahead and create an exceptional customer experience without all of those distractions.
Yes.
And we're able to kind of take the guesswork out of facilities management for someone who needs to focus on selling cars.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, what about, because one of the things you mentioned is that you had personal goals, right, in this space. How have you been able to see those personal goals come through when it comes to clean energy? Like, why did that become important to you? Like, what happened to where you said, like, this is what I want to focus in on?
Sustainability has always been very, very important to me.
Okay.
And I think that for a lot of people, money matters.
Right.
And there's a way to kind of approach this where you can be both profitable and sustainable at the same time. Being green and clean in today's environment, I think, is important, but it's not necessarily the reason somebody's going to buy something. And so if we can
Right.
solve all of these other problems, these facilities problems for folks,
Okay.
while being green and clean, I think at the same time, like that's what really helps me sleep at night, and that's what helps me feel like I've achieved my personal goals. And we're doing this. Car dealerships, you might have one rooftop, you might have 100.
Right.
But like I mentioned, we're in the pharmacy or the quick serve restaurant space, and they might have 1,000 or 3,000. And so
Yeah.
the reach of this solution is incredibly broad. And when you look at it, across a portfolio across the country, we're in about 20,000 locations.
Okay.
And that ends up being really significant, on the whole.
Absolutely. Now, I ask people all the time if they have a specific instance where they can remember or have a moment where they say, I love this more than I love this product, or I love the people more than I love this product. Do you have any stories like that you can call to memory that are like, oh yeah, I remember this one time? You're smiling. You're thinking about it. I love it.
Well, we get to
That you can share being, because sometimes that smile can be a good or bad. So I've got to let me clarify. Let me wait, because this is a family show. No, I'm just teasing. But go ahead.
One of the things I really like about this is that we get to grow relationships.
Yes.
So in specifically for this, it's not just in the sustainability space, it's not just in the facilities space, it's across the board.
Right.
And I think probably I'll refer to an example of in the auto space because that's who we're talking to here.
Okay.
So we had a dealership out of New Jersey.
Yes.
And it's like a 65-acre auto mall with 11 rooftops. And we had someone...
So a small store is what you're saying.
Right. Well, within that, they probably had like 75 to 100 rooftop units. And they kind of came to us and said, we need help.
Right.
And we were able to help them. We helped this one facilities manager who came to us and he said, look, I really want to do right by my leadership. I want to set the example for my broader dealership group.
Wow.
And so within 5 years, we saved them about $2 million in energy savings.
Wow.
And we also helped them put together a plan. So your HVAC units are really expensive. It's probably one of the biggest in most commercial buildings, one of the most expensive, pieces of capital that you might put out. And so we took a look at all of their assets across the auto mall and put them on a schedule for replacement so that they could plan those capital expenditures instead of kind of waiting for something to break and then emergency, oh my gosh, like I have uncomfortable customers in my showroom and
people are sweating.
And
just sign here, I promise, I'll get you out of here.
And you lose the sale, right?
Right.
And so just through working with that customer, I think we were able to help him and, the auto mall as a whole really become the poster child for then their broader auto group.
Absolutely.
And, we got to do marketing together and he goes and tells this story and it's a feather in his own cap as well.
Absolutely.
And so kind of putting the power back in, the hands of these, whether they're facilities managers or general managers or whatever it might be, to kind of make that impact, I think is... That was a really...
That's great.
Yeah,
I could see that being a great...
I
mean, that's literally a $2 million story. So I mean, that's plus because that was just then, right?
Yeah, and that's energy savings alone. Not to mention all the other operational things that we help them do. But that's the first 5 years.
Wow.
Energy costs are going up.
Yeah.
And they haven't turned our control system off, and so every minute of every day they're continuing to save that money, and that can go back towards their bottom line however they see fit. I mean, profit margins are razor thin,
right?
And the operating environment is not necessarily favorable right now. We've got tariffs, we've got rising costs of labor, we've got rising costs of energy, and so every little bit really does count and help.
Not only does it count, but it sounds like, especially when you have a focus, people are able to not only see the real change in their immediate, like the bottom line, obviously, but bigger than that, right? Because like you said, he became now this proponent of change. And I'm sure that the more that he does that, especially serving in the community, other businesses, because you're not just in the automotive space, as you mentioned, other businesses can now start, they're like, oh, I heard what, they're doing over there at that small little shop with, 6,500, teasing obviously. But I think that's great. And that's really how things get started, is sometimes it does start with one or two people that initiate the change and then continue to propel it forward. So what's one of the reasons where if someone's thinking about getting this information or getting more involved, what are some of the reasons that it's important to kind of look at this now and making over those changes to be more efficient? Yeah,
I think, like I mentioned, the operating environment is tough.
Yeah.
And with that comes pressure to provide the very best experience for your customers,
right?
And to go ahead and focus on selling those cars. So if you can take the guesswork out of your facilities management, if you can save the environment, if you can do this all in a way that is giving back to your bottom line, because our energy savings does tend to cover our subscription fee.
Okay.
It's all upside
for
your business. So why would you not?
Exactly.
And I think that the urgency kind of comes differently for everyone, but it's not something that tends to be top of mind for a dealership. And so capitalizing
100%.
on it Now it's kind of one of those things. It's like, why would you wait?
That's it. Why would you not? That's it. Why would you not? Captain Planet would be proud of you. You would be proud of you. Why would you not? I love that.
Why would you not?
That's a great way to put it, Kate. It's
Yeah.
like, why would you not? Why would you not do something that makes sense?
Profitability, sustainability. Why would you not?
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Now, tell people more about where they can find you. If they are ready to say, why would I not? How can they get in touch with you and how can they find you?
Sure. So we're here walking around ASOTU, myself and two of my colleagues. So if you see us with our badges, stop us and say hello. Otherwise, there is an info form on gridpoint.com.
Okay.
You can go to gridpoint.com, fill that out, and someone will get back in touch with you.
That's it. Why would you not?
Why would you not?
Why would you not? I love that. That's put it on a T-shirt. And then when people ask you, like, what does that mean? You be like, well, why would you not
Why would
save
you not?
the planet? Why
That's
would you
right.
not help? And like you said, have predictable things that you can avoid, right? Because there's nothing worse. I've been in a dealership environment when the AC or something wasn't working.
Yeah.
It's no fun.
You know, I heard somebody say today, they were talking about videos, technicians taking videos
Yes.
and sending it back to somebody's, parents, and they're saying, oh, no, like they only get the oil change. And it's like, well, you don't actually know what's going on inside your car until
Right.
you look at it, until you measure it. And so, if you had that tool that could pull out all of those insights of what's going on in your building so that you could actually know about it and fix it, like that's...
Why would you not?
Why would you not?
I love that. See, that's going to be our... When I see you, I'm telling you, we've been in the hallway somewhere, I'm like, why would you not? And then people are like, oh, why would I not?
Why would you not?
But I think that's great, and that's a very good point too. Is like a lot of times you're right when it comes to our vehicles, right? And we go in to get the vehicle inspected or get our oil changed. You've got to open the hood to do mostly all of those services, right? You can't just osmosis the oil to change itself or fluid to change or check or whatever the case might be. And taking that approach with your business, I think, is another great way to do it. Open up the hood, see what's going on.
Yep.
Get those fixed expenses where you can predict. You know things, especially if they're wearable items, especially like an HVAC, you
Yep.
know it's going to go out at some point. But what are you doing to plan for it
That's right.
and save for it in the meantime?
We like to say you can't manage what you don't measure. So,
Oh, I like it.
yeah, that's a good.
That's
one, right?
another one. That's
Keep
two.
that.
That's right. That's two. You can't manage what you don't measure. And why would you not?
Why would you not?
I love that. Well, Kate, we did it.
We did it.
That's it. We're now preparing for our safe landing. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Once again, why would you not? That's it. That's the takeaway for the day. Errol Bomar here with Kate. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next time.